Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's been over a week since I produced a video, and as I have been doing this whole postseason, I am doing a little quick. Well, it's not quick. I guess these videos have been going 15, 20 minutes, but I have been diving into these preview videos of these playoff games, and what a weekend last week, right? Like, that was wild. I know everybody said it at this point, so it's not like I gotta reiterate it. But seriously, probably the best weekend of football I've ever seen in my life, with all four games and what happened in those matchups. So I obviously I had a rough run with my game picks. I did really well in the wild card. I went I think I only got one game wrong in the wild card, which was the Cowboys game. And then last week I only got one game right, which was the Bengals win. So let's see how I can do championship Sunday weekend. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive into this. I'm gonna get into the first game for you guys tonight, which is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals are traveling out to Kansas City to face those Chiefs. That game is going to start at 3 p.m. Eastern, so it's going to be right there in Sunday afternoon, just like it was last Sunday when those two games kicked off. Now, these two teams have faced each other this month, not at the beginning of January. The Bengals won a crazy game, 34-31. And that happened back on January 2nd. It was a wild game. I think the Chiefs were up 17 or two touchdowns, I believe, at least twice in that matchup, if I'm remembering that right. And the Bengals stormed back, and they end up getting that touchdown at the end of the game to go win. Because I remember it was they were at like the 2-yard line. A lot of crazy stuff happened. There was a chance they'd lost. They went for the win instead of going for the tie, and they end up getting the job done, which sealed their playoff hopes by winning that game. So really quick though, to take a look at these injury reports that came out today for both teams. On the Cincinnati side, there's not really any notable names. Now, Cam Sample is doubtful with the groin. That is somewhat notable for me. He's a rotational guy that works in on the edge on some downs. And if you can remember the guy that wrapped up Ryan Tannehill on that third down play before they stuffed him, before the Bengals went down and pretty much sealed the win. Cam Sample was the guy that tackled Ryan Tannehill short of the sticks, which helped set them up for the turnover on down play when they stuffed Derrick Henry the next play. So he does have some meaningful reps that he does play. That's what I'm basically getting at. It looks like he's not going to be able to go. Stanley Morgan is doubtful with the hamstring. He hasn't played much this postseason. Josh Tupou, knee with the questionable. He's more of a rotational piece at the interior of their defensive line. The Chiefs only have one guy on their injury report, and I totally expect that he'll be cleared to play on Sunday. Tyrann Mathieu, remember he exited the Bills matchup with a concussion. He had 2 full practices over the last 2 weeks, but he's listed as questionable because they have to clear, I'm sure he's at the point of the concussion protocol where he does have to clear one more step, which usually comes before game day. So I imagine at some point tomorrow there will be some, like Adam Schefter or Rappaport or even the team will release some type of news item that Honey Badger has been cleared to play. So I'm totally going into this preview with Tyrann Mathieu will be in the lineup for that Chiefs defense. So yeah, with this matchup, I'm super excited. One of my favorite quarterbacks in the league, Joe Burrow, going against, the best quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes. So it's going to be a very interesting shootout with these two offenses and these two defenses, which both defenses have some playmakers on it, and they're going to have to step up in this game to slow down the opposing offense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start with the Cincinnati offense, looking at it against that Kansas City defense. The Cincinnati offense, as I've kind of explained these teams multiple times at this point. So if you guys have been riding with me, I am going to kind of reiterate things I've said about them in the past as far as the numbers. But when you look at those numbers in front of you, they're a top half of the league offense that heavily leans into Joe Burrow and his weapons in the passing attack. They average 361.5 yards a game. That's 13th in the NFL. They have the rushing yards a game, 102.5. That's 23rd in the NFL. But as I've said this whole postseason, you got to respect Joe Mixon. He's a Pro Bowl Bowl caliber running back, and he finished top 5 in the total rushing yards as an individual this year. So it's not like they cannot run the ball. It's just when you got, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, even C.J. Uzomah, you have an opportunity to spread the wealth even more through the air. And plus, their interior of their offensive line is not that great. We saw them get blown up against the Titans front last week. So you can kind of understand why they lack a consistent running attack and why they lean into the talented Joe Burrow and the air attack. Passing yards a game, 259 yards a game. That's 7th. That's top 10 in the league. And they've been averaging 27.1 points a game during the regular season. That's tied for 7th in the league. So they're averaging right underneath 4 touchdowns a game. So, but they are going against an offense that 4 touchdowns might not be enough to win this game. So they're going to definitely have to put up some points against those Chiefs. Now, you look at the Chiefs defense, it's a bottom 10 defense, a bottom 12 defense. Bottom 10. Yeah, it's a bottom 5 defense, if you're going to be quite honest, in terms of yard production, but they're pretty good at kind of limiting points against teams. When you look at these numbers, yards per game, 368.9, that's 27th in the league, bottom 5. Rushing yards a game allowed, 117.6, that's 21st. So Joe Mixon probably will be able to break some runs here and there throughout the matchup. Passing yards a game, 251.4, that's 27th in the league. But like I said, they can kind of get stingy when teams get towards that red zone. They only give up 21.4 points a game. That's 8th in the league. So that they give up around 3 touchdowns a game. Now, obviously, last time these two teams faced, though, the Bengals were able to put up 34 points. So I expect the Bengals offense to be very highly confident in entering this matchup. Now, we saw what Josh Allen was on. He was on another level. I feel so bad that he's not playing on Sunday. But what I'm trying to get at, though, is we saw what that air attack did against the Kansas City defense. And that Kansas City defense is going to be a little probably exhausted from this game. So whoever was covering Gabriel Davis that gave up those 4 touchdowns, they're going to target that guy quite often. So Mike Hughes, number 21, a guy I thought would be a pretty good pro. He just hasn't hit his potential, but they're going to attack that dude quite often. They're going to line Jamar Chase up on his side. They're going to line T. Higgins up on their side. And they're going to try to exploit that matchup, which what any given coach is going to do. And so I totally expect for Cincinnati and Zach Taylor to lean into his strength and lean into Joe Burrow on the road. Now, they are going into a hostile environment there in Kansas City. It's arguably, the loudest stadium in the NFL. Shoot, I've been there in a week, like a December game when they were about to get the number 1 pick in the NFL, in the draft, and they had the worst records in the league. And I believe Brady Quinn was their starting quarterback, and that was the loudest stadium I've ever. Oh, besides the national championship game for college football, that was the loudest game I've ever been part of. So they get even rowdy with bad games. Imagine how they're going to be in a conference championship game. So Joe is going to have to be very communicative with his wide receivers. That's where I was trying to get at. The communication is going to have to be key across the offensive line for protection, and it's going to have to be key to his wide receivers, so the wide receivers are hearing any changes, any audibles, so they know which routes they need to run. Now, I will say this. I don't think they need to go out there and try to make it a purpose to establish the run, but I would like them to trying to get Joe Mixon involved in that first half and try to see if they can break out a couple runs, and maybe they can kind of get a healthy balance of the rushing attack with that passing attack, just because we all know what Patrick Mahomes can do. We saw him get his team in field goal position with 13 seconds on the clock. So, and that team can just blow up. So the always best bet to beat the Kansas City Chiefs is keeping number 15 on the sideline as long as you can. But when you do keep him on the sideline, you can't settle for field goals. You have to score for touchdowns. With that being said, I am very confident with how Joe Burrow is playing in that offense right now. They're going to get to the 4 touchdown mark that they've been hitting all season. I have no faith in that Kansas City defense and the secondary to slow them down. Now, what Kansas City can do, though, to make it interesting is guys up front, Chris Jones, Melvin Ingram, Frank Clark, if they can dominate their matchups early and completely crush the pocket on Joe Burrow, where he has to get the ball out of his hands at a quicker rate, hit him as often as possible and get those sacks, that's going to help him. But we saw what Tennessee did that last week, and it worked. It's just that Tennessee's offense did not help them out whatsoever. So if they can kind of repeat what the Titans did And then what they need to do is they need a Tyrann Mathieu, maybe a L'Jarius Sneed. They need to kind of create, I think they need to create 2+ turnovers too, to help rattle the Cincinnati offense. But going back to what I was saying before, I forgot I didn't cover how the defense could have some success on Sunday. But with that being said, I'm very confident in that Bengals offense right now, where I think they're going to get to the 4 touchdown mark. But with that being said, with how confident the Kansas City offense has been over the last 2 weeks, and Tyreek Hill, I was waiting for him to show up, and he showed up big time last week. He looks like he's back and healthy. And same thing with Travis Kelce. You're going to have to score 5+ touchdowns to win this game. So that's what it's going to come down to, and that offense is going to have to deliver if they want to win. Now, flipping sides of the ball, taking a look at the Kansas City offense, it's basically a top 5 offense that's pass heavy, right? Average 396.8 yards a game, third in the NFL. Their rushing yards a game is right there in the middle at 115. Their passing yards a game, 281.8, which is fourth in the league, and they average 28.2. So they are averaging the 4 touchdowns a game. And then when you look at the Cincinnati defense, they're more of a rushing defense, so this really doesn't favor them, but they do have those playmakers in Jesse Bates and like Chidobe Awuzie in the back end of the defense. And I like Von Bell as well. Average yards per game, they gave up 350.8 this season, which is 18th in the league. Rushing yards a game, 102.5, that's 5th in the NFL. Like I said, that's great for them as far as the season, but that's probably not going to really matter. Everybody knows the Kansas City offense isn't won through their rushing attack. It's obviously won through Patrick Mahomes and his arm. But you do got to respect what Jerick McKinnon's been doing lately, and even Clyde Edwards-Helaire can break off that run. Remember that he had that big, huge run, I believe, in the second quarter of that game last week. And then passing yards a game, they give up 248.4. That's 25th in the NFL. That's bottom 7 in the league. So that's not something that they can hang their hats on. So Jesse Bates and all those cornerbacks, they better be ready to be doing a lot of running against this team. And then they given up, their defense is 22.1 points a game, a little over 3 touchdowns a game, but that does rank 17th in the NFL. And how I view this is, the Kansas City Chiefs are just going to do what they do, right? They're going to drop back and pass. They're going to target Travis Kelce roughly around 8 to 10 times a game. They're going to do the same thing with Tyreek Hill, get him involved. They're doing a good job as far as I think they have found a role and how they can utilize McCall Hardman with the handoffs, with the little quick screens, get him in open space where his electric speed can take off and get a touchdown just like out of nowhere like he did last week against the Bills. So that's what they're going to do. I don't really see much of any resistance coming from the Cincinnati defense, just because I don't think they match up well. That's because they, like I said, they're more of a good defense against the run. They can allow the big yards, and what it's gonna come down to is they're probably gonna allow the big yards, right? Patrick Mahomes is going to get his. What Cincinnati has to do is they have to be a bend but don't break defense. They have to accept that there's going to be 2 to 4 plays that Tyreek Hill gets them for 20+ yards. They're going to have to accept that Travis Kelce is going to probably he's probably going to pick up some crucial third downs and keep drives alive throughout the game. That's just what happens with Patrick Mahomes in that offense. They're going to have to accept that happens. Now, you don't allow that stuff to happen. Do your best to get 3 and outs and force them to punt and get no points at all. But that's just going to happen throughout the game. Just because it's so difficult to keep tabs on everybody in that offense. And Andy Reid is just a genius as far as coming up with plays on the drives and getting his quarterback in rhythm, especially when Patrick can just create magic out of nowhere. So what they're going to have to do is, they're going to get yardage on them. When they get to that 20-yard line, they have to tighten up. They're going to have to make the passing lanes tighter. And then what's going to happen is those guys up in the front 4, Trey Henderson, Sam Hubbard, those 2 guys on the edge, they got to show up big time. Now, they also got to make sure they're doing a good job of keeping Patrick in the pocket, because, that guy's got crazy arm talent. Everybody's seen that clip where he throws the ball somehow around Gregory Rousseau when he is rushing out to the right side. Don't let him rush out to the right side. Like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, I don't understand why defenses allow it to happen, but stop letting those guys run out to the right side, because every time they run out to the right side, big plays are allowed to happen. Now, does it always happen? No, but it's just the chance that that's going to happen. And plus, I mean, we've seen Patrick. He's got the athletic ability to go run for a first down too when he escapes the pocket. So they got to do a good job of keeping him within the well, and they just got to make sure that Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson are winning their matchups to collapse on the pocket and try to get those sacks. And it's the same thing with this Cincinnati defense as I view the Chiefs defense. Cincinnati has to create 2+ turnovers. So whether it's Logan Wilson at the linebacker spot in coverage, picking off a ball, jumping out in front of a route to Travis Kelce, whether it's the ball hawk himself, Jesse Bates, jumping on a route like he did to Ryan Tannehill, or whether it's Trey Hendrickson coming off the edge and blowing up Patrick for a fumble, or maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire had some fumble issues in his young career in the pros. So maybe you strip the ball out of his hands. I do think this game is going to come down to who can win the turnover battle. I think it's going to come down to that, who can create a crucial turnover in the fourth quarter. And then at the end of the day, it's probably going to come down to who has the ball last, right? This is basically what these playoffs have been thus far. Everything says, the Chiefs are, they got more experience. They've been here before. This is their third or fourth AFC Championship game in a row at this point. Everything says they should win, right? High potent offense. They're in Arrowhead. They got the experience that's been here. Andy Reid's been there before. They have seen it all, right? But man, you guys know I love Joe Burrow, so I just need to see something fresh in the Super Bowl. I really do. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love the KC offense. They deserve it if they get there. They went through their woes at the beginning of the season. They have clawed and fought themselves and found themselves again to get here at this point of the season. But, Joe's got something magical going on right now. So I think the Bengals are going to get the ball at the end of the game. I think the reverse happens to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs actually take a go-ahead score, and they leave about 2 minutes, and I don't want to get exact, but I'm going to throw it out there just as in case I could get this right. Let's go with the 2 minutes and about 32 seconds left on the clock, and then Joe Burrow just picks them apart, marches them down the field. They get in that same scenario as they did in that last game, and they punch in that touchdown. Who should he throw the ball to? You know what? Tyler Boyd hasn't scored a touchdown, so I'm going to pick Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd catches the game-winning touchdown, and I say the Bengals win let's go with a 38-34 win for Cincinnati. That is my first video for Championship Sunday previews. I am going to be doing the Rams and 49ers video here tonight, so you'll be seeing me again. But as always, if you enjoyed this first video I've just published, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. My playoff preview videos are obviously coming to a close, but I definitely will be doing one for the Super Bowl. I'm going to be looking into some off-season content as far as free agency and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to consider stuff like that. And then roughly around March, you'll probably start seeing some draft-related content as I get deeper into this class and finalize my rankings for the upcoming draft. Other than that, I'm gonna get off here so I can get this edited, uploaded, and published for you guys, and get to that 49ers Rams preview. So I'll talk to you guys soon.